Baby's fat. You fat. Fat and juicy.
This is the Horrible Film School. Take a seat and rip open those trapper keepers. I am Chris, and I am here with riveting Ryan Hootie.
What's up, fellas? It's time to find out what lurks in them heels, boys.
In them heels.
Shoo-wee!
And Papa Jupiter Reborn, Mr. Nasty, a.k.a. the brother, Joey.
What up, guys and gals? It's your boy, Jay to the Nasty. Before we get started, y'all gotta excuse me. I gotta go around and back and take myself a litter dump.
Today's assignment, 1977's The Hills Have Eyes. The lesson, camping out with a family can be murder.
That's pretty good. I feel like we need to have one of those little drum things right there.
So speaking of camping and sharing personal spaces with groups of people, I have a question for you boys. How do you hang your toilet paper? Over or under?
I've got to the point now, I won't even put it on the fucking roll. I'll just sit it on there sideways. Because there's no winning with me. There's no fucking winning. Like, I'll literally sit it on top of an empty roll on the actual, like, roller.
Joey puts this in the fucking kitchen.
So, I guess I'll have it perpendicular to the roll. Over.
Common etiquette to do it under.
Under. That's got to be under. Why do you do it over?
Y'all are going to attack me. Let me go ahead and justify my answer. Now, I only buy one brand of toilet paper. If they don't have my brand of toilet paper, then I'm just, like, spraying my ass off with a water hose. It's got to be Angel Soft. It's got to be that shit with that little baby on it. It's got to be that little baby picture.
Baby butts.
The only way I know I got my ass clean is, like, if it's got the baby on it.
If one day I get so much money that I can afford a bidet to just wash my asshole, it'd be real nice. Just skip the TP altogether.
I always think about, like, movies back in the day where it was, like, a separate contraption, and I wondered if you prairie dogged from one to the other and then did the wash.
I've been thinking about going full Eastern culture and just doing like a squatty potty.
So this one landed on me. I shall take these reins. Let's get her started with some fan reviews. I tried looking for like an actual critic review here, but they're kind of scarce when you kind of go back to 70s horror. Not as omnipresent on the internet, I guess. So 2 fan reviews by way of the lovely IMDb. We're going to start with the negative first. This one's called You Call This Horror? With 3 question marks. From, it's like a weird alphabet soup of letters here. I'm going to say Whitleaved 18 from October 2010. What a waste of time to watch this movie. I don't have to give any spoilers because this film is covered by the following. Number 1, talk. Talk. And talk some more. Then 2, stab. Stab, and stab some more. The end. 1 out of 10.
All right. Obviously, I'm not going to agree. Well, I guess it's not obvious yet. I'm definitely not going to agree with this take. However, they do have a point, and there is like an exposition dump. It literally just follows 2 separate families. Like families are going to talk. There's going to be a lot of dialogue. So,
all right, let's spin this yarn in the other direction with a review titled One of the Best Simplistic Horror Films Ever by Maria61 from October of 1998. I just like reading things from the 90s. It seems like they have like a time capsule, you know.
Yeah, they definitely have a different view on horror than most modern audiences.
No Martians, no money, no special effects, just good, clean terror. Some of my favorite movie quotes came from this flick. Stole an old horror that nobody missed. And the infamous Devil Dog. Incredible gross outs. This is really scary. 10 out of 10.
Definitely agree with that one a lot more. What year did you say that was again? That
98.
Was 98. What sort of Martian movie came out in 98?
Mars Attacks, I think, was 97.
Was Independence Day?
Yeah.
Deep Impact.
Was there aliens in Deep Impact?
There was a meteor.
I didn't watch after the
and
fucking
you know
credits.
what? I'm gonna give you points.
Armageddon was 98.
I'm gonna give
too.
you points. I'm gonna give you points for at least having something that has like some shit from outer space in it.
All right, hopping into it. Let's go over the crew, the people who made the flick in question here. Kind of hard to introduce this guy. I think we've talked about him more than once already, but just to put it out there. Directed, written, and edited by Wes Craven, who you may know as Freddy Daddy and Ghostface Daddy.
This is my favorite horror director. This is the second time we've got to talk about him. He was not really the last.
Scream?
This is the third. Yeah, because we did Scream. Yeah, okay. Third time. Sorry. So Scream. And he also did a personal favorite, The People Under the Stairs. Classic. With Ving Rhames.
I just remember like a kid licking batteries or some shit.
I love Duracell. Man, fuck Energizer.
His first film was The Last House on the Left. And sadly, he died in 2015. But a little known fact about Mr. Wes Craven is that he spent his early career making pornographic films under a fake name.
Robert Burns, who was responsible for the art design on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he did the same thing for The Hills Have Eyes.
We're talking props and stuff.
Props, set, like the
bone art,
set pieces, stuff like that. All the bone stuff. Pretty much.
I know in editing that podcast, I heard you say bone art about 100 times. So
bone art? Dude, I fucking
the bone art I really like.
Bones.
Bone art. If you want to touch back to Wes Craven, he started his career in bone art.
Bone art.
Boner art. Talking about dick.
In the documentary that I watched for this film, it's on YouTube, The Making of Hills Have Eyes. He talks about the man you just brought up showing up on set in like a construction van, and in the back of that van was all of the bone art from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Wes was like, "We can just use all that shit."
Yeah, a big part of that was just like budget constraints. I mean, just reuse old shit, and you don't have to, put money into creating new stuff. So, as in my opinion, it was kind of a detriment, but I'll talk about it later on.
Mr. Craven based his film script on the legend of a Scottish cannibal named Sawney Bean, who Craven viewed as illustrating how supposedly civilized people can become savages. So it wasn't the fact that the guy was a cannibal, it was that he was killed in such a savage way. I think he was hung and quartered or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I read that across like several sources as well, but it's kind of hard to imagine that he only based it on the fact that like good people can do terrible things to terrible people in response to terrible acts. Just because the whole thing is, I think this inspired quite a bit of this movie.
The Scottish cannibal?
Oh yes, if you read some of the like actual like accounts of the legend, I guess it wasn't real. I don't know. But yeah, he was a Scotsman who lived in the caves of Scotland during the 16th century. He had an incestuous family of like 50, children and grandchildren.
50?
Like 50. It's. I mean, the legend probably.
It's all legend.
Probably says 15 to 500. That was a fucking legend. But supposedly, slaughtered, cannibalized corpses of over 1,000 unsuspecting travelers over the course of like 25 years. So.
That is an insane body count.
I think the whole. I mean, if that's the case, then a lot of this movie took inspiration from that legend, because that's exactly how this movie plays out.
Yeah, I think reading the tidbit about how he was only inspired by the bad things that good people end up doing was kind of. I didn't really see the connective tissue, but it makes more sense with what you just said.
Oh yeah, in watching the movie, it's definitely he's trying to go the way of like elevated horror by saying that he based that part on the legend. However, in its execution, seems kind of. It's like you're talking it more into existence than it actually existing.
I agree.
I would be devil's advocate there and say that this is elevated horror. It's just not to the standard that we know now, because I kind of realized. We'll talk about it later, but there's a point in the movie to where I kind of got what Wes was trying to communicate. Did he do it 100%? I don't think so, but I did understand.
Oh, in comparison to The Last House on the Left, this thing is like leaps and bounds above in sense of like there being a purpose to the violence. There being elevated horror.
Film was shot in Victorville, California, in the Mojave Desert using 16mm film on cameras that were borrowed from a Californian pornographic filmmaker. I thought that was pretty interesting. One of Wes's old buddies, his old slinging buddies.
Bet you had to get some Windex to get them lenses clean.
Yeah,
Gum shots.
I did. Also kind of highlighting where it was shot. The shoot was unpleasant for several of the actors due to daytime temperatures of over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And it would drop to around 30 degrees at night. One of the actors, Mr. Berryman, who lacks sweat glands, he was particularly hazardous to his health, and he had to be attended to after the filming of the film's action sequences.
That poor guy, man.
Of all the places you could stick that man in a movie, the desert is probably the worst.
Yeah, that's a brutal set to work on. In the documentary, they literally talk about finding that location and how far away from... It was like 30 minutes from any kind of civilization.
So while watching The Hills Have Eyes, Sam Raimi, fellow horror director, noticed a ripped poster for Steven Spielberg's Jaws in a scene of the film. He took it to mean that Wes Craven was saying that Jaws was just pop horror, and what I'm making here is real horror. This is what inspired Raimi to include a ripped-up Hills Have Eyes poster in his film The Evil Dead. Craven reacted to this by having Nancy fall asleep while watching The Evil Dead in his film A Nightmare on Elm Street. Raimi responded to that by including Freddy's glove in his scene of Evil Dead 2. Later, Craven would have characters in his film Scream choose to watch a VHS of Halloween instead of the VHS of The Evil Dead. Then in the first season episode of Raimi's TV show Ash vs. Evil Dead, Freddy's glove can be glimpsed while a poster for The Hills Have Eyes can be seen outside a movie theater in an episode of the show's second season. Playing tag with each other, yeah.
I think the
That's
thing
awesome.
with Steven Spielberg's poster there was like actually like him.
The first shot
throwing
fired,
shade,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Thought that was pretty cool because I knew that when we watched The Evil Dead, we kind of made a note like, oh, there's Freddy's glove. And then when we watched Nightmare on Elm Street, oh, she was watching The Evil Dead. Like I never knew that there was a whole sequence of events that led to those, you know.
I have a story about how Wes Craven, besides the awesome cannibalistic story from England, how another way that this movie inspired him to be made for it.
Okay, can I say something right quick?
Go ahead.
What's he craving? Human flesh?
Yes.
Because Hills Have Eyes.
Get
They
him.
have
He's
cannibal-
fucking dead, Joey. Okay.
R.I.P.
Did read that he hated that title. I'm just throwing that out there.
The Hills Have Eyes?
It tested best with audiences, but he personally hated it.
That's crazy. That's a really good fucking title, in my opinion.
Do you know what his title was?
Yeah, Blood Relations. It sounds fucking terrible.
Relations.
Blood related. That sounds like a porno.
dumb. It sounds like a porno.
You people have got to get out of that category of finding mom stuck in the washing machine, okay? Wes Craven was in part inspired by an incident that happened to him while taking a motorcycle trip with his wife. When they stopped in a small Nevada town, a trio of locals shot an arrow past his fucking head and then insulted the man. When Craven threatened to sue them, they replied they could easily kill him, leave his corpse in a nearby salt mine, and no one would ever know.
What a pretentious thing to fucking say to a bunch of bikers who just shot an arrow at you. I'm gonna sue you. That's the
It is a kind of
fucking lamest shit you can say to somebody who can literally bury you out back, and guess what? They'll never find your fucking body, bro.
Especially, we're talking about the 70s here. Like, this is before you had cell phone service.
When I read that, I pictured the bikers from Friday the 13th Part 3. That gang.
I'll sue the pants right off of you.
Margaret, stand back. I'm gonna sue these guys.
And the other thing I had was Wes Craven acknowledges the fact that he was a huge fan of Tobe Hooper's film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and considers this film a bit of a homage to it.
I think the setting definitely, and the aesthetic, just how things look in these movies are of a piece.
Oh, in my mind, these movies are happening in the same universe.
I wanted to throw some numbers out here. I know we kind of skimp over these sometimes, but we always like that frame of reference. This is kind of what makes the horror genre tick, is the low budgets and the big box office. So Budget for this film, it's a pretty wide estimate here, considering it's from the 70s, estimated between $350,000 and $700,000. And the box office, drum roll please, $25 million.
Yeah, that's pretty nutty. And if the movie drummed up that kind of return, it's been stated already, and I hate to spoil it, that The Hills Have Eyes 2, and this was said by West, that all that was a big cash grab.
All right, folks, nothing else in the books. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Hop in this camper, or station wagon, and pull this camper well into the hills with them eyes.
He came out sideways and almost tore poor Martha apart. He weighed 20 pounds and was hairy as a monkey. When he was 10 years old, he was big as I was. Accidents were happening all the time. Dogs falling in the well. I even found chickens with their heads bit off.
In a remote U.S. desert at Fred's Oasis, a rundown gas station, the grumpy owner, Fred, packs his things in his truck. A wild young woman named Ruby appears, offering stolen items from an Air Force base in exchange for food. Ruby wants to join Fred, but he mocks her and mentions her crazy daddy.
Boy, I'm going to tell you what. Ruby was looking all right till she opened that mouth.
It's the teeth in this movie, man.
Dude, she got a mouthful of licorice chiclets. Got teeth like a fucking caveman, been gnawing on bones and roots and shit.
This gas station was a real closed gas station near their filming set, which I thought was pretty cool because it looked old and just shitty.
It's super isolated.
And when Fred tells her that she stinks like a horse, that shit had me rolling.
Punching down, man, it's not fair.
What's the gas station called? Fred's Oasis?
Punching down?
Yeah, this poor girl is out here begging for
Girl's
food.
a fucking cannibal.
Begging for food.
Murdering people, stealing their belongings.
And he's like, you smell like a damn horse. Knowing the girl's barely above, the animal kingdom herself.
Dude, what about the intro music?
Didn't jump out to me. I don't have any recollection of it.
Gosh, to me, it's like the creepiest intro music ever.
Ever? Oh. Is it a clapper?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's
Is it a moody thing?
It's not. Yeah, it very much puts you in a unsettled. This is an alien place.
Yeah, the movie definitely has a way of almost immediately making me feel gross, which is kind of like the feeling I most associate with this movie, even before I had actually seen it. Me and you both remember the box art, the VHS cover that our uncle had was very evocative of something I did not want a part of as a kid.
Oh, I just remember Pluto staring at me.
Creepy.
With that fucking Megamind head.
And it's weird. You take that into this, and you spend so much time with the guy, and he's just a normal guy now.
The thing is,
he's just a guy.
The guy's kind of lovable, to be honest.
The guy's so fucking nice.
He's got a simple disposition about him, even though he's doing terrible things.
We'll get to him, but I was just throwing out how I felt here in the first 5 minutes.
But I kind of want to talk about Fred for a moment.
There we go.
Played by John Stedman.
Was his nose cast
What a
separately?
stud.
That's my question.
Jeez, I'm going to tell you what.
Boy had a bulb on his nose.
They ain't got enough cocaine on Earth to sate this motherfucker. Yeah, he was the only role in my mind that stuck out to me. Ned McCluskey in Burt Reynolds' Gator. Don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, but a little television show on FX called Archer. It turned me on to that movie.
Sounds full of machismo for sure.
It's very devil may care. It definitely makes me want to move to the swamp and just be a badass.
Deliverance style.
He was also in another Burt Reynolds vehicle, The Longest Yard.
What was he, the football or some shit? His old ass turned into leather.
Was he for real, the running back?
No, I have no idea.
I was like, this dude's got lateral movement. I want to fucking see that.
Give the ball to Tank. Give it to him.
Pound that rock, Tank. Yeah, I didn't really call out either actor there. I feel like once we kind of meet the mains, they're kind of all in one room together. So, interrupted by a potential policeman, Ruby hides as Fred investigates. Fortunately for us, it is a family seeking service. Big Bob Carter, a retired Cleveland officer, with his wife Ethel, their children Lynn. Here comes a big list. Played by Dee Wallace, who you may know from E.T., Cujo, Critters, The Howling, and one of my favorites, House of the Devil, covered on this podcast.
Bonafide scream queen, bro.
Yeah, she's got the legits.
She's going to be in a few more things as well that we're going to talk about in the future.
Let me finish this list. Everyone here is kind of note for me. So, other kid, Bobby, played by Robert Houston, who you may know as a director of Shogun Assassin. I thought that was pretty freaking badass. Brenda, played by Susan Lanier, who was in Welcome Back, Kotter, TV show with John Travolta back in the day, and Lynn's husband, Doug, along with their infant daughter, Katie.
Boy, Doug got that thigh gap, don't he?
Doug.
Them fucking short shorts, boy.
He seemed like the guy who would have more credits than he does. Nothing really jumped out for me about him.
All right, I want to talk about Robert Houston right quick, if you guys don't mind.
Oh,
Bobby.
I know where you're going.
Bobby
Here we
Carter.
go. Here we go.
Went on to direct a few vids for Playboy, including 1992's Playboy's Erotic Fantasies and the Playboy Video Playmate calendar of 1994, featuring Miss Salami Nipples herself, Anna Nicole Smith.
Ooh.
Those things
Salami.
look like tea plates. Also, this is something for Chris. I don't know about you, Rudy. This dude looks just like BJ from The Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah, he does. I could see it.
Tim Baltz.
He has, like, his hair, like, sticks so perfectly to his head, like BJ's does. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like his hair is painted on.
I thought you'd fucked 1,000,000 guys, Judy.
Oh, I love it. He might be the best character in the show. He's so sweet.
Yeah, he might be a close second to Judy. Judy's hands down.
Judy
the
is
funniest.
hilarious. She's my favorite of the kids.
Robert Houston is not as creepy as he is. He is creepy as shit to me in that
BJ
show. He's
is?
like, BJ is like too
Have
nice
you got,
and put
are
together.
you guys caught up? Have you finished the third season?
I'm
Yes.
only 2 episodes in on the 3rd season.
Oh, yeah. He's got a really good, like, arc in this one. It was really
Wait, is
funny.
the season over?
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
I gotta fucking step it up.
After this film, Susan Lanier was hired to play Chrissy in Three's Company, 1976. Lanier only lasted a few weeks during pre-production and rehearsal until executive producer Michael Ross realized she was wrong for the role and fired her. Lanier was replaced by, Suzanne Summers,
Suzanne.
who was later also fired.
Brenda has one of the best quotes in this entire movie, and it's an actual quote I use almost weekly in my life.
Was it before or after she's catatonic?
Before. She pops out of the car. She says, "I wonder how far it is to the nearest cheeseburger."
I had a weird note about Dee Wallace because I took some time and went through her credits.
Fucking smoke show in this movie. Smoke show. Hot ta.
Alert, alert, alert. She was in Bad as I Want to Be, the Dennis Rodman story, and she played his stepmother. Look that shit up.
Was Dennis Rodman playing himself in the movie?
I don't know. It came out in like 98. I didn't put the year down. I think it's 98. But it was
Did
like
Kim
what
Jong-un
in
play Kim Jong-un?
It was like all these horror movies and then Dennis Rodman story. I was like, what the fuck?
The Dennis Rodman story.
The thing is, I think she, honestly, I think she likes being in movies. She's got a lot of credits on a lot of movies that aren't considered big movies. She likes acting.
She also gets a call out in Scream pretty famously, also directed by Wes Craven. I think when they come to the video store, somebody asked Randy, what's the horror movie with E.T.'s mom in it? The Howling Horror, aisle 3. So you got to appreciate Wes taking care of his peeps. Also present are their German Shepherds, Beauty and Beast. The Carters are headed to Los Angeles with a station wagon and trailer. They're detouring to a local silver mine, a gift for Bob and Ethel's 25th anniversary. They ask Fred for directions, but he advises they stay on the main road due to the mine's emptiness and Air Force activity in the desert.
So they're headed to L.A., huh? It's probably safer to stay in the desert with the cannibals, am I right?
You know what I'm saying? So this is the classic, don't y'all go over there speech that we get in a lot of these movies.
You just keep driving.
You say that shit, all I can fucking think about is Uncle Ruckus.
From
Do you remember that song I'm
Boondocks?
talking about? Yeah. Don't trust them over there.
God, that's such a great show.
Oh man.
I wanna rewatch that
Let's do a Boondocks podcast.
Love the Boondocks. A figure with a feathered headdress quietly approaches the gas station. Fred pumps gas for the Carters while Doug enters the building, finding Ruby missing, but a broken window with some fresh blood. Doug overhears Ruby telling someone that Grandpa Fred is fleeing. As the Carters leave, Fred's truck explodes, leaving him trapped. What is up with this dude just poking around the gas station? This happens a lot in these movies, too, where they're
Dude,
like,
oh my God, I made a note about this shit, too. Oh.
if a 20-year-old white man is ever in somebody else's like property, he'll just walk around looking at shit without even
That's
asking.
a very good point.
These city slicking bastards just moseying around, letting their hellhounds inside Fred's store,
No one is shitting in the floor,
messing with
yeah.
his pet pig. Put them beasts on a fucking leash. No respect.
Well, these, as you call them, city slickers, are used to like Wawas. Go inside, get you a hoagie, get you a pack of
Let your
cigs.
dog shit in the middle of 7-Eleven, though.
Well, they ain't gonna tell you to leave.
This
As long as
dude
you
ain't
buy
even got an
something.
electric gas pump. He's got the type of gas pump you gotta fucking manually like dig up fossils and shit and
I'm
just
not sure
turn them
they
into
had
powder.
electric gas pumps in the 70s.
Drop a T-Rex skull in the damn pump just to get them some oil.
You know what they call this? This is middle class white privilege. This ain't fucking The Legend of Zelda, bitch. You can't just walk into my house and start rummaging through my shit.
Yeah, he doesn't even do like the white glove look for dust. He runs his finger across the damn blood on the window. And I was like, what is this guy doing?
This ain't spaghetti sauce. Another thing about this gas station, most gas stations, at least in America, make their money off of what's inside the store. They make almost no money off the actual gas. They ain't shit inside of Fred's store.
Fred's getting out of town, man. Everything, all the damn nabs are in the back of the truck.
Here's the thing. I think Fred's got a monopoly on gas. Like, I think Fred can charge whatever the fuck he wants. Because he's got it on his sign, no mo. He don't have no more. It says, no mo gas for 200 miles.
Intent on finding the silver mine, Bob takes a detour, gets lost, and stumbles upon an Air Force testing site. Panicking, he wrecks the car and breaks an axle. Stranded, the family makes plans for rescue. Bob and Doug man up and walk for help in opposite directions. From a distance, they are observed by someone. Turns out the hills do have eyes.
Can I please say what Big Bob Carter said when he crashes his car?
Well, hold on. Before you do that, what made him panic before we talk about that, Hootie?
I have no idea why this car was wrecked.
There was a fucking rabbit in the middle of the road.
Animals play a
Chris.
really big part in this movie.
There was a lot going on in this sequence. The rabbit was probably least of the worries. It turns out the road they're taking, which they were warned not to take by our boy Fred a little bit earlier. Is it Fred?
Stay on the road.
Yeah, he'd say, don't go down there, blah, 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 blah. There's a bunch of shit
Don't
going on.
go in them hills.
The fucking Air Force uses it as a damn gunnery range, so they're testing like bomb drops and shit. And the fucking jets are like sweeping by. Everybody's freaking out, screaming in the car. Poor Big Bob he's trying to keep his composure as an ex-cop. He sees the rabbit and that's it. You got to put it in a ditch.
Why does he start speeding away from the planes?
Try and outrun the planes.
He's in a station wagon.
We call that boomer mentality.
Why wouldn't he just stop? They could clearly see him down there.
He could control the situation, Chris.
Who do you mess around with like caravan? You mess around with fucking RVs and shit?
Me?
Yeah, I'm thinking if he slammed on the brakes, wouldn't that kind of like fuck up
Oh
the
yeah,
thing behind
it
him?
would jackknife the fuck out of that car. It would fuck everything
But
up.
Why does
speeding
he
up
slam
is
on the
even
brakes?
worse, though, right?
Yeah, why would you introduce the variable speed into this? Just
I
let
mean,
off the gas.
speeding's better than braking.
It was a panic moment. You know how some cops panic and they'll just shoot somebody? This is the same situation.
And all the while, the damn kid is not even in a car seat. The kid's just sitting in somebody's fucking lap.
Oh well, that's just the '70s, man.
I did more research on this than I wanted to. That if car seats existed during this time period, apparently they do. They started becoming very popular in terms of safety features right around the 70s. Dude, I went down the fucking rabbit hole with car seats. They used to have some wild ass designs. Back in the day, there was no safety features. They just wanted to make it to where your kid could see over the fucking dashboard.
Hell
They would literally
yeah.
have them sitting on stilts, but it all would be with like a little piece of wire, a little piece of metal holding them back.
Oh, they put a little swing in the back seat. This little basket swing around while he's driving. Car crashes. Big Bob Carter gets out and says, 25 years I'm a cop on the worst goddamn precinct in Cleveland. Blacks shoot arrows at me. Hillbillies throw dogs off the roof at me. I've been shot at on 2 separate occasions by my own men. But none of these bastards ever came as close to killing me as my own goddamn wife and her goddamn road maps.
That was epic. That was pretty good, Hootie.
Fucking legend.
Bob's definitely got the old school cop mentality.
Yeah, his kind definitely, I think, died out in the 90s.
And I think his wife goes, "You don't have to cuss so much, Bob." God damn.
So what does it play when you're trapped like this?
There, in this situation in the late 70s, there's not a lot of options.
Yeah, do they do the right thing?
They're so calm.
That's what I thought they were like very organized.
All right, well, let's go like this. On the map for your location, it literally says don't go here. So no one's going to go there. The Air Force is like the only place. You know what? They probably did the wrong thing. Now that I think about it. At one point in the movie, they go to light a tire on fire, right? Just a signal.
At the end.
It's very safe.
They should have done that to begin with, now that I'm thinking about it.
Or just stay together until dark and then do that, right?
Well, a tire burns like super black and a lot when it's on fire. The rubber, they probably would have been seen.
Oh, because Maverick's in the sky. Top Gun.
Yeah.
Flying around.
All the Air Force jets going by. Now that
As low as these guys are flying, they would have seen him, I would think.
they did what they thought was right. They probably did the gung ho thing of, hey, we're a do it ourselfer type family, so let's do it ourselves, and everybody go in different directions.
Let's mess around and find out, I guess you could say.
There's a lot of guns on this little caravan crew here.
No,
A lot
not
more
really.
guns than I
Like
would
2 guns.
expect. I know. How many guns do you take on the road with
I'm just saying, like a former. You're going to fucking California, Hootie. Have you seen California recently?
This is the 70s.
It's a
bud. This is
fucking
different-
hellscape.
It's a different. Well, it's about to get hit by a hurricane. This is a different California in the 70s.
But no, it's a police family. It's a law enforcement family. I'm kind of surprised they didn't have more than that. A 1911 and a revolver, that's kind of like shortchanging it, in my opinion. Need an AR, brother.
Whole back of that RV should have been like a Punisher war room, just shit hanging all over the walls.
And last question about this bit. Did this dude in the hills draw boobs in the sand? I couldn't tell. What the hell?
that was a good
Design.
That drawing was fucking dog shit. I paused it and was trying to figure out what was going on here. Couldn't make heads or tails of it. I saw hair. That's all I could tell because he just drew it in like strands. Like
I just saw 2
strands.
big circles. I thought they were boobs.
Oof, if that was the case then.
I think he was just going to fap right there in the sand, man.
Have we talked about where it got to the part where our boy Bobby does the cartwheel? A scene here where he does a little cartwheel and backflip, and they're talking about birds, him and Brenda, his sister in the movie. In this little scene, did you guys feel any chemistry?
It took a minute for me to kind of delineate who was related to who because they have like an unusual camaraderie, I guess you would say.
Dude, there's some incest going on here, and it ain't the damn cannibals in the fucking hills, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, didn't he set out to show that we're not so different after all?
There we go.
During a family lunch, Beauty dashes off, prompting Bobby to chase her. He eventually finds her mutilated body after hearing her cries, and in his fright he flees. But eventually he falls unconscious. Night descends as the women attempt to radio for help, and they hear unsettling breathing. Bobby appears, revealing he couldn't locate Beauty as Beast breaks free and vanishes. Doug arrives back, unable to secure assistance.
Before our buddy, our little Bobby finds Beauty fucked up beyond comprehension. There's a story that the family tells while sitting at a dinner table about a poodle that the family encountered down in Florida, I think is what they said. And one of the dogs, I think it was Beast, killed this animal. And they are sitting around the picnic table laughing about it. Ethel, who's a fucking diehard Christian, they're laughing about this poodle that was murdered by Beast. These people deserve what's coming to them.
We're not that different, Joy. Are you finally understanding here?
They are. Who are the savages here? That's the real question.
You can't blame a dog for being a dog, but when you got a
Dog
family
will hunt.
that's this demented,
Dog will hunt.
dog will hunt.
I
Dog
did
will
like the actor who played Bobby running down the hill. I thought that was pretty impressive. It was like a fucking ball sprinting down that hill. I'd have been terrified.
Oh yeah, a lot of these actors did their own stunts. That's what comes with the territory when you got a budget this low.
Could have smashed that face easily.
It was such a jagged, rocky terrain, man. It had to have been hell on earth to run through there.
And I did read, I don't know if this was verified, that the corpse, I don't know if it's the word, the body you see of the dead dog was an actual dead dog that they paid for, but would not tell people where they got it from.
Oh,
Yeah, I think they got it from like the sheriff's office. Like they scraped him off the fucking road or something.
I thought that was a little distasteful, personally.
Well, no, you gotta like once again, you gotta go within the restraints of your budget. Paying $25 for a dog corpse.
You could throw together some damn fur and blood and make it look like, and barely show it for $5.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have to have they wouldn't be able to have so many bones and shit.
Is it worse to see in this film a corpse of a dead dog who was dead? They didn't kill it, or Friday the 13th where they actually killed a live snake?
I put them in the same vein. I didn't appreciate that either.
Don't really like snakes. I mean, I hate that they kill the animal, but I don't like snakes.
I don't want to look at a dead animal. Come on, man. Y'all are the animal people, not me.
That's life. Life's about death.
If it's not on my dinner plate, I don't want to see it.
This whole situation here, especially with the breathing on the CB, right?
CB, baby.
All right, I try to put myself in the shoes of all these people we see in all these horrific situations in these movies we cover. And this one just might take the cake as the most unsettling. Being trapped 2,000 miles from home in the middle of a desert, no communication, no vehicles, surrounded by a vicious wildlife at best, and killer cannibals at worst. In terms of a non-fiction horror setting, this is pretty fucking terrifying.
In the realm of possibility, too. That's the hardest part of it, I guess.
I think that's a normal response to this situation, and nobody in this family has that response.
Well, they're very put together, like we were saying.
Well, the only one who even knows anything is up at this point is Bobby, and the motherfucker don't know how to act. The character don't know how to act. The actual actor is okay, but the actual character, like himself, he don't know what to do.
Bob arrives at Fred's deserted gas station. A gunshot sounds prompting Bob to return fire. He discovers Fred attempting suicide. After stopping Fred, Bob learns that decades ago, Fred had a happy family until a mutant son brought devastation. He burned down the house, killed his sister, and was left for dead in the desert by Fred. Somehow he survived, nabbed him a prostitute, and raised a group of wild youngins. He weighed 20 pounds and was hairy as a monkey.
Oh, he didn't just leave him for dead out there. He tried to beat him to death with a tire iron.
Why didn't he just bury him in the sand? That's what I was thinking.
He probably didn't have any energy having to carry that big-ass bastard out there after beating him with a tire iron.
He said, weighed 20 pounds right out the womb, and it came out sideways.
Came out fucking sideways. This poor woman.
And here we go with Big Bob's ass wandering around somebody's place of business unannounced once again.
Yeah, God, I can't get this monologue. He said he was biting the heads off of chickens.
Yeah, this is an exposition dump of, let me make you scared of what's coming here, And it definitely had that effect, but because the dude's not that fucking weird looking, honestly. Suddenly, Jupiter crashes in through a window and bludgeons Fred to death with a crowbar. Bob tries to make his way back to his family, but he collapses in exhaustion. Meanwhile, Ruby is being held in chains and eating Beauty's remains, but loses her appetite when she hears a dog howling and assumes that it is Beauty's ghost.
We meet Mama Jupe right here, dog. Anybody get a little bit of excitement in their nethers when we saw Mama Jupe?
Negative. She reminded me of the mom from Texas Chainsaw 2. The one we found up in the top of the old Alamo.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's...
Same build.
She reminded me of the mom from the Goonies.
So what you guys think about Jupiter? He's finally revealed here.
We don't get like a super good look at him. I mean, we see a little bit. Like we don't
I was
really.
thinking he was going to be like 8 feet tall or something unique about him.
Shit, the character is like he's 6'5", so he is like he's a big boy. But yeah, I know you said he was a mutant earlier, but I think he was just really fucking big. Did you expect him to come out looking like the mutants from the remake? Is that what you were
It's something,
anticipating?
yeah. I thought he'd be like scary. Like he's the least scary of his group. Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, he's got that split open ass nose thing going on. I love the caveman speak all these people do. I think it's fantastic. They leave out like certain like prepositions and shit like that.
Yeah, kind of just drop all the in between stuff. Bobby tries to convince Doug and Lynn not to sleep in the station wagon. Doug promises to go looking for Bob if he hasn't returned by 11 on the dot. Outside, Jupiter's clan closes in while listening to Doug and Lynn make sweet love. Pluto, played by Mr. Michael Berryman, who you may know from Weird Science, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and The Devil's Rejects. A quick note about him, he suffers from hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia, a rare condition leaving him with no sweat glands, hair, fingernails, or teeth. He siphons gas from the station wagon. Bobby hears barking and goes outside but doesn't find a thing. He returns to the trailer and finds it locked. Inside, Pluto is ransacking the trailer, but he stops when he lays eyes on the sleeping Brenda.
This magic moment.
Do-do-do-do-do. When your lips are close to mine.
Michael Berryman's unfortunate situation that is incurable. He was in a 100-degree desert for the shooting of this film when he has no sweat glands.
It's nuts. And he's probably the most active character in the whole movie, too.
He was obviously, he was a big part of the documentary on YouTube. It's free for people to watch. And he just comes off just like a genuinely nice guy. He just
this is the movie he's known for. You say, it's unfortunate he has hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. I say it's fortunate. Because his ass wouldn't be an actor otherwise.
Yeah, definitely got him into movies.
His look is what, gets him a lot of these roles. And I'm not saying he's not talented. However, a lot of his roles are because of his looks.
He has quite a list on IMDb.
Oh yeah, he's got over 100 acting credits. It's pretty impressive.
And Chris left off one that I was excited to see. And that was Kenan and Kel, Two Heads Are Better Than None. Was a Nickelodeon TV movie.
They got a sequel coming out?
Good Burger?
Good Burger 2.
But yeah, this guy definitely cast for his unique appearance, and looking at his filmography, him and Dee Wallace are probably the two most notable actors here, outside of just him being a memorable face. He's been in legitimately like good work, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's a big deal.
He seems like the perfect casting for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Spending like 90 minutes with him, perfectly normal, Like there was nothing that crazy about it. Once you kind of expose yourself to things that are different, it just normalizes it for you.
The state that the actual cannibal family's in terms of like health and hygiene, he has some of the nicest teeth. They're all like veneers or whatever the fuck you call them. But his teeth was so white for a cannibal. It's like he was fucking...
He's got them Ben Afflecks.
Oh, it's like every time they would kill somebody, he would hog all the fucking like mouthwash and all the fucking toothpaste.
And what the hell was up with old Jeff Dunham out here in the wild when old dude is hearing all this barking and all this random ass fucking noise? He's convinced that there's animals around him. Dude's throwing his voice and shit.
Dude, they had Bobby fucked up, man.
He did a good job. He was good at it. Shit.
It's a hell of a ventriloquist. I've never seen a natural ventriloquist. Bobby interrupts Doug and Lynn, asks for trailer keys, and breaks down, revealing that Beauty's murdered. Until boom, a sudden explosion and the sounds of Bob screaming. He has been impaled to a cactus and set on fire. As Ethel, Lynn, Bobby, and Doug rush to Bob's aid, Mars, the ventriloquist, invades the trailer and interrupts Pluto groping Brenda. Mars pulls Pluto away and assaults the young woman himself. Doug manages to extinguish the fire, but old Bobby is dead.
We established earlier that Ethel was like religious, right?
Yeah, she's a God-fearing woman.
I don't think this is what Ethel had in mind when it comes to the Holy Ghost and the burning bush. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that shit was a little rough.
So about
Yikes.
this scene, you misidentified what he was attached to. You said a cactus.
It was like a Jordan tree or whatever, wasn't it?
It was a Joshua tree. They covered this in
Joshua tree.
documentary. A Joshua tree
I knew it was
is
the
a
person's
sacred.
name. I took a shot in the fucking dark there and I missed.
A Joshua tree is like a sacred and protected tree on that side of the country, and they would have gotten a load of shit if this would have been like in today's time.
There was some fucking celebrity recently that like tore up a Joshua tree. It was a huge deal.
You get in real trouble.
So was this a real tree they did this with, or was this one they built?
Yeah, it was a real Joshua tree. They fucking exploded.
Damn. So now you're telling me they're buying dead animals and now they're destroying protected wildlife.
It's the 70s, man. Guerrilla warfare out here.
This is too much. So I don't hadn't mentioned it yet, but the remake of this movie that came out in the early 2000s was something that I had like a lot of exposure to. So leading up to this scene, I was kind of expecting the worst, and it does not play out as badly as I thought it would. I don't know if you guys had any expectations with the quote-unquote sexual assault sequence here.
If the remake's any indication, I thought it was gonna be way worse. And the way it played out in Last House on the Left, it's more implied in this movie. You don't really have as much shock value to it. I mean, it's all in your imagination. It could be he just groped her, or it could go the other way, you know?
I saw the remake when it first came out in theaters, and I never watched it again. I remember it being pretty forgettable. So in that version, there is clear...
Yeah, like grunting, thrusting, gross nastiness.
They talk about this scene, and I'll be honest, when I watched it, I didn't think anything happened because it's kind of touched with kid gloves. It's not, thankfully, brutal.
I think part of that is the fact that we're all kind of close to the same age. We've been desensitized when it comes to this type of shit.
That's
like
true.
100%.
Yeah.
I think back in the 70s, this would have been like super provocative. We've talked about Mars at this point. We talked about Mercury. We talked about Jupiter and Pluto, right?
Yeah.
What are we watching? Fucking Sailor Moon here?
Hell yeah.
I've been waiting the whole time to say that. Does anybody know why it's named after like celestial bodies?
Please
or
tell
why
me
named these
you
characters?
have a reason.
I have no clue. I looked all over for it. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, Ruby doesn't really fit the mold, but I figured like maybe he the only thing he had access to in the desert was like a child's book of the solar system or some shit.
That would be awesome.
So you had to teach yourself how to read, right? There's no way he knew what those names meant.
I think he said when the kid was 10 is when all this happened, when he like killed his sister or burnt down the house that killed his sister.
Burnt the house down.
I guess by 10 maybe he knew like basic reading.
I don't know. I don't see Fred taking him to public school. I don't see Fred reading the damn bedtime story either.
Franklin learns the solar system.
Yeah, we had some actual bomb-ass quotes from Mars before he did the deed. When he pulls Pluto off, he says, "You wait till you get to be a man."
Yeah, it's a little gross. A little cringe.
A little bit creepy. And then, in my opinion, quote of the movie, "Baby's fat. You fat. Fat and juicy."
Yeah, I did not like this guy at all. He should have been Jupiter in my mind.
Get out of my way, bitch.
It was a little effective when Mom Carter found Big Bob all burnt up, and she just went hysterical, man. That shit was effective to me.
Oh, yeah. The acting in this movie is fantastic, in my opinion. The only character that kind of fucks it up is Bobby. But he does have his moments where he's good.
He had the most redemption, I thought. Because he's like the quiet one who's dealing with swallowing the shit for most of the movie. And when we meet Mars here, the teeth and the hair, it just didn't look good, man. It took me out. The wig looked god-awful.
What about when he was a Jerry Crow? What about when he reached into that fucking cage and pulled that finch out, and he turned it up like it was a damn Squeeze-It?
Eating raw meat and fucking
He
drinking
fucking bit
milk.
the head off of it and took it in like a Squeeze-It.
This dude was just nastiness personified. Lynn leads the hysterical Ethel back to the trailer just as Mars tries to make off with baby Katie. A violent struggle ensues and Lynn manages to stab him in the thigh, but Mars shoots both women and he and Pluto escape with the baby. Lynn dies shortly thereafter. I assume she would be like a final girl situation.
I feel like her dying the fact that she's one of the the biggest actresses in the movie gives it more levity. And we know that Wes likes killing off like big actresses. I mean, we saw it with
this is before
Scream.
before he has that kind of pull at this point. Though it's kind of ballsy for your second big movie. When Mars and Pluto return to the lair with the baby in tow, the family makes plans for a Thanksgiving feast. In the distance, the spying Mercury is killed when your boy Beast pushes him from a cliff.
This dog is the fucking beast from the motherfucking East, fellas.
The dog carries Mercury's walkie-talkie back to Bobby and Doug, who overhear the father vow to avenge his son's death. Yeah, I did appreciate Beast kind of going ham here.
If you were offended, I'm sorry. Mama Juke gonna be so happy. Papa Juke gonna be so happy. Maybe I make a joke like last time and eat the toes. You think
That's
everybody laugh? We always laugh at you, Mercury.
See, it's not wrong, Chris, because the actor playing him was the producer of the film.
Yeah, it's Peter Locke.
He had about as much experience as Joey as an actor. So what do y'all think about Beast here? He's a little OP, I would say. This dog gets he goes full on video game character at this point.
Oh, this is very much Fallout 3, Fallout 4.
This dog is attacking
German
and
Shepherd.
killing the bad guys, fetching fucking equipment and
Whooping
returning it
ass.
to the
Oh,
good
if they didn't
guys.
have this dog, they'd be fucked.
Whooping ass.
This family would be dead.
The dog is a cell phone if it was turned into a fucking animal. He's the only reason they're going to get through this.
Two Guns are the greatest fucking German Shepherd of all time. I love that we get multiple, and I mean multiple shots of just Beast running through the hills.
Damn dog could follow commands. There was a few times he was in the background, like people were running in front of him. He didn't move an inch. I was like, this dog is well trained.
Decent piece of that dog, because he's definitely dead.
They should have bought him more treats instead of paying for another dog's corpse, but I digress. Ethel dies the following day. While Bobby and Brenda stay behind and try to radio for help, Doug and Beast venture into the hills to rescue Katie. Before we go any further, I want to just shout out Pluto being the funniest motherfucker in this movie.
Dude,
playing games on
this
the
is
radio.
The fucking trolling he did right here with the defensive capabilities shit.
What's your
was
defensive
so
capabilities?
good.
Put your thumb up your ass.
Stand on your head and put your thumb up your ass.
He was funny, man. This dude was
Yeah, it was so good. It was so clever. It literally finding out what sort of weapons they had to defend themselves. Bobby and Brenda. It was pretty clever.
Jupiter and Pluto devise a plan to ambush the trailer. When they are briefly separated, Beast, of course, attacks and kills Pluto. Enraged, Jupiter radios Mars, forced to stay behind because of his wounded leg, and orders him to kill the baby, Katie. Ruby tricks Mars and runs away with the baby. She and Doug join forces and flee, with Mars in high pursuit. I thought this dog attack looked pretty legit. I did appreciate this, too. It looked like the actor was laying on the ground getting fucked up by that dog.
Nah, it looked like the actor was fucking nutting, bro.
I looked into how they did this, and it is fascinating.
Was it
so
Michael
obviously-
Berryman in the scene?
It was Michael Berryman in
What
the
did Wes
scene.
Craven hold him down and start jacking him real fast? That's how they did in the movies beforehand.
He finally made him sweat.
And obviously, there's a dog handler on set, and he coached Michael Berryman through how to work with his actor. And obviously, the Achilles scene was one thing, but the neck was a whole other gimmick. And what happened was, if you go back and really look at it, he's wearing this bone necklace thing. But for that scene, he had on a really thick leather collar. And that dog clamped down on the leather collar and would shake that. And that's how they pulled that scene off where the dog bites his
It's
throat.
really close to his neck.
That's fucking terrifying, man.
Yeah. And again, this dude cannot sweat. He's out here in 100-degree direct sunlight,
And the dog is just
getting
fucking
whipped
taking
around in the
it.
sand. Talk about uncomfortable. He has no eyebrows. That sand is going right in his fucking eye socket. Bobby and Brenda use Ethel's corpse as a decoy and a booby trap. The attempt fails, but as Jupiter approaches, they quickly devise another trap that causes the trailer to explode when he opens the door. Jupiter survives and leaps from the burning rubble. Brenda attacks him with a hatchet, And Bobby finishes him off with 2 gunshots. Yeah, this is when it kind of leans into that classic normal people going ape shit, like the crazy in their eyes all of a sudden. I think Bobby sells this pretty well.
This goes back to the legend of Beanie Todd, whatever the fuck his name was.
Attend the tale of Beanie Todd.
If this is part of the sequence, because this is like the first part, the next part that happens is far more brutal. I don't feel like it really gives credence to what he said.
About the people becoming super violent?
Yeah, about people becoming super violent, because he tries to say that people, when they seek revenge, they become monsters themselves. However, I feel like at this point it's more about survival, right?
Yeah, they're playing defense, I think, here.
They put their dead mother in the middle of the desert as a decoy. It's not a normal thing to do.
Oh, of course not. But what are you gonna do? Leave her in the truck and have it blow
Put
up?
a damn sheet over and move on with your life.
I feel like it was just a means to an end.
I think the fact that Bobby uses a gun kind of undercuts his whole messaging, too. It was like he was putting down an animal more than anything. That's how I took it, you know.
A lot of it's about being defensive of a loved one, right? Because at this point, Bobby's about to get the fucking... He's about to get... hold on. Jupiter says something funny about what he did to Fred. I done him good. Meaning he killed him, right? He says, I love to do people good. He's about to do Bobby good.
Good. Do people good.
Yeah, and Brenda just does what she has to do right here in this situation to defend her brother.
Yeah, and I think kind of going back to what we were saying about revenge, for me, they're not... If Jupiter never approaches that camp, he never dies. They're not seeking him out, you know, even after what he's done.
There is speculation, because the film got an X rating when it first was shown to people. And Craven had to cut a lot of it out. So we don't know what the original idea was around how violent they got. And, of course, the director's cut is lost, supposedly. So I don't know how much of that's bullshit and what's actually real. But
One of the things cut was how bad Jupiter fucked up Fred.
oh,
So maybe that actually plays into it, because, you know, Fred is the one who beat him in the face with a goddamn tire iron and sent him out into the desert to die, or took him out there to die. And it's kind of him exacting his revenge on Fred with the tire iron, like earlier in the movie. And if that was cut, then I guess it kind of does play into that revenge take.
I did read that, not cut, but something that was never actually shot, because essentially all the actors just kind of refused to go along with it, was that Wes kind of threw out there that they would actually eat the kid, like the baby. I think Michael Berryman personally refused. He's like, I'm not going to do this. You know?
All right, I saw the same thing. I think it said the entire cast and crew said if that happens, they're all going to walk.
Yeah, we're fucking out, brother. And I think if that's the case, especially, I mean, the father, as we'll see, kind of comes to kind of a conclusion himself. But if that happens 3/4 of the way through the movie, you're not on defense anymore. You're going to kill those motherfuckers. You know, it's different. In the hills, Ruby hides with Katie while Mars pursues Doug. Mars changes course when he realizes that Katie is nearby. Doug goes after him, and the two men become locked in a death struggle. Ruby comes to the rescue by catching a rattlesnake and forcing it to bite Mars. She weeps over her brother's body, while Doug stabs him to death.
I've never seen anyone with a bowl cut do anything so violent. Not to harp too much on the elevated horror thing. At this moment, I think this does go into the realm of it being vengeance. At first, he's stabbing Mars, you know, go ahead and just put him down because, you know, he's protecting his daughter. But he fucking stabs and stabs and stabs and stabs and stabs. And you can kind of tell by his, facial expression that he's actually becoming kind of blood drunk at this point. The first few stabs, okay, he gets the job done and puts him down. But then it's you can tell, all right, this is for Mom, this is for my wife, this is for my father-in-law. I love this ending right here, how it just cuts.
where the dog gets turned.
It turns red, and it's just over. Yeah, it's
I think
great.
it ends on his face looking down at the body.
Did you guys, you didn't watch the YouTube version, right?
Nah, I watched legit.
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube the second time. They have the shit ending where they all meet up and hold hands and walk away.
Oh,
What?
Yeah,
Was that an
fucking
alternate
terrible.
ending?
Yeah. All 4 of the survivors plus the baby, they just walk back to the RV.
Huh, yeah,
Just
it's
walk
exploded,
off.
but
Just walk away.
So there's Ruby with them?
Yeah,
Ah,
part of
so
the
she's
squad
like
now.
part of the family.
part
now.
of the squad.
That's Doug's new wife.
For all I know, like as soon as he came to, he could have turned around and stabbed her too. You know, like who knows how crazy he is at this point. Putting that bow on it, I think, takes away from it. So good choice to cut that.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so ends The Hills for now. Piece of memorabilia you boys want to take home from this journey across the desert.
If I could take a live animal, I won't beast. But I understand that's not memorabilia because that's inappropriate.
He's a fucking super dog.
The most ill-behaved fucking creature on the planet. You want that? You want to deal
That
with that
dog
headache?
will protect my house from
That dog will be a
apparently human
lawsuit.
beings.
Wes Craven will sue your ass over that
It'd
dog.
probably jack up my damn insurance on my house. I can't be having that. Not in this economy. So if I can't have the dog, give me the CB radio that they use in the camper. I don't know what it is, fellas, but I love a good CB radio.
Give me Pluto's bone necklace. All right, let me. I like to give it a little backstory, right? Some flavored text, if you will. See, in my mind, I think that Nub and Sawyer ran into Pluto in his travels, and they formed a lifelong friendship. And as a token of that unbreakable bond, Nubbins used his macabre folk art gift to handcraft a necklace of finger bones for his buddy, as a cute little inside joke for the two, because Pluto's missing the ends of his fingers. So yeah, BFS forever, bro.
For me, I'm gonna get the thing that Big Bob should have got. I'm gonna get Bobby's aviators. Maybe the motherfucker could have stayed on the road and we could have avoided this whole situation if he would have had them sunglasses on. But they did look pretty primo for 1977 eyewear.
Them fucking jets fly by. He fucking shits his goddamn depends. Jesus Christ!
All right, boys. Let's get the grade books out. Give Mr. Wesley Craven another entry here in his 3-semester-long course with us.
The Hills Have Eyes was sadly a blind spot for me from my favorite horror director. I had to leave some of these out just so I can have some fun with the podcast. It may be strange saying that you have not seen every film your favorite director's made, but what the hell did you expect? The film is clearly rooted in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Wes has his own style that is quite different from Tobe Hooper. The acting is hit and miss, and special effects haven't made it to the level of the 80s yet. However, several elements in this film were extremely effective. From the incorporation of the man's best friend as a key player in this film, to the animalistic nature in which the family had to resort in order for them to make it out alive and kill the cannibals in the hills. If you have not watched this film because you have already seen the remake, which is not very good by the way, please go out of your way to view this fantastic piece of cinema history. I give this film a B+.
See, I'm going to mix things up and start with a few negatives. First and foremost, we got to talk about Bobby. Bobby was such an annoying bitch of a character. I'm not speaking of his acting, but the way his character behaves throughout the movie. His actions, his responses to situations. The guy wasn't enjoyable to watch as one of the main protagonists. It was hard to root for him, honestly. On a broader scale, and not as nitpicky, sandwiched between an awesome first and third act, the second act kind of drags meanders. Also, the minuscule budget really shows itself in the art design, unfortunately, with a lot of the costumes and set pieces of the Jupiter family reused by Robert Burns from his previous work on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where the very same imagery was stunning, horrific, iconic. It looks B-movie at best and Spirit of Halloween at worst in Hills. Now, as far as positives, in my opinion, they far outweigh the negatives. The movie is raw, unrelenting, and gritty. Eerie and disturbing soundtrack, although it is kind of sparse. It's perfectly disturbing for a 70s horror. The movie's setting and its plot, the literal stuff of nightmares in nonfiction, are very memorable and impactful, as seen in the amount of movies it has gone on to inspire. Brutal violence throughout, but not just for shock value. Most of it makes sense within the plot. The characters are developed in a way that creates an attachment to them in one way or another. And once they start dropping, you sympathize with the survivor's trauma and you feel the deaths of their loved ones in your gut. And that development doesn't end with the Carter family. The Jupiter family members are properly established and developed as well. This film may very well be in my top 2 favorite Wes Craven movies, neck and neck with Nightmare. 1977's The Hills Have Eyes grades out with a B.
The box art alone for this movie has kept me away since childhood. My first exposure came to the story and its remake, and that remake was kind of burning in my mind during the rewatch here. I never really got past the lesser production value on display here in the 1977 version. For me, it's very much cheap 70s horror. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of hard to rewind. It is far too related to Texas Chainsaw to call it anything much more than an attempt for me to kind of ape what Hooper pulls off so well there. I didn't enjoy a ton of this. Beast and Pluto were the MVPs for me, and they were my saving grace, along with a brief run time. I do like Mr. Wes Craven, but for me, this one earns a C-. Let's recap these audience score guesses. I was hosting, so I was not in the driver's seat. Mr. Joy thought this would sit at a 69, and Mr. Hootie thought it would sit at a 77. They were both wrong. The audience score was a 54.
This is one of those rare cases where the critics had a higher score than the audience, right?
So yeah, we got some mandatory stuff coming up in October, but we do have one episode between then and now to drop. So, Mr. Hootie, in charge of the random wheel this go round, will be hosting our next film.
Been a while.
So
Here we go.
Spin that wheel.
Spin that
Find out
wheel.
what it's
Spin
gonna
that
be.
wheel.
The wheel has been spun.
The wheel has been spun.
The Belko Experiment 2016. No flipping idea what we're looking at here, but apparently that's what we're going to be watching. All right, boys. How about YouTube? We're going to check out the trailer for said film, The Belko Experiment. Let's go.
Belco is a non-profit organization that facilitates American companies in South America.
Oh, Blumhouse?
Is that Blumhouse?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All employees, lend me your full attention.
Hey, it's
Michael
Jesus.
Rooker.
Your chance of survival increases by following my orders.
Who's that guy?
Your task is simply this. Kill 3 of your coworkers, or we will kill 6 others.
Hey, all the lines are dead.
We need to evacuate the floor.
Mikey, come on, it's a joke, man.
Hey, listen up, everybody. Whoever's doing this, they're having a little fun at our expense.
That dude was in
Oh,
Oppenheimer.
fuck my ass. This dude's dick just exploded.
That looked bad. Yeah, stop showing that.
Stage 1, commence.
Like his head exploded from the inside. What?
When we start working here, they put tracers in the back of our heads.
You must not remove the tag from your body. Follow
There's
our
that
directives,
fucking dude.
or we
So many
will
good
detonate
actors.
the explosive. Begin.
This is a James Wan movie?
Do you know what kind of metal this is?
I don't really know.
A lot of Oppenheimer motherfuckers in here.
We need to discuss all our options.
We do not have the right to take innocent human lives.
What are you doing?
My wife and kids need me.
Stage 2, commence.
We don't need no more weapons. We need to work together to get the hell out of here.
Look like Barry
In
Pepper's
2
nephew.
minutes, we want 30 of you dead.
I'm tired of
30
these
you are
Belkos
not
in this
dead.
motherfucking
We will
experiment.
end 60 of your lives ourselves. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
At the end of the day, people are out for themselves.
Got that right. And we've got some mandatory stuff coming up, so it might be a while before we make it back around. But for stakes in November, let's take a guess at what that score might B.
I'm gonna shoot a. I'm gonna shoot my. I'm gonna shoot my shot. We're gonna say a 45.
I'm going to say a 51.
I'll say a 60. Alrighty, folks. Thank you for listening. Check out the website, horriblefilmschool.com. You'll find links to all of our podcast platforms, all of our social stuff. You can give us a shout out. Go check out the store. Hit that heart button. Buy something cool for you, for your friend, your mom. Who cares? Give us a follow. Leave a review. Send us some of that vintage 70s canned Coca-Cola. I'm going to say goodbye and offer my support to women propped up as bait in the hot desert heat. You all stay cool out there.
As always, if you listen to the show, tell at least one person you know. Spread that love. Spread that campaign. And I work from home, but I'm going to get to find out in the next movie why we all should never go into the office. And I'm out.
Thanks for all the likes, the subs, the listens, the follows, the downloads. We really appreciate you guys and gals' support, as well as your time and attention. Be sure to join us next time when we fight to survive in 2016's The Belko Experiment. Class dismissed.